Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
You're on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. And that cold is making its way out of my system. You know, not 100%, but feeling much better.
Me too, but I just can't wait to be 100% healthy.
Well, you'll be 100% healthy just in time to go back to work.
Yeah, right. Oh.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, but we're, looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
Although it's this wonderful time of year where, you just kind of reconnect with friends and family. Like I had breakfast yesterday with a dear friend whom I hadn't seen in ages, and her whole family was there. And, I brought the country potatoes and she had the eggs and other fixins. And it was just, it was great.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't had the time both of us are so busy. We hadn't had time to spend together, and we just picked up where we left off, and it was really wonderful. More important than just about anything in life is your connections to other people.
Yeah. And our daughter was able to join you guys as well, which was nice. And,
yes.
And her maid of honor, her best friend is actually their daughter. And so it was great to get to see the girls together as well.
Yes. So, nurture your relationships, especially, when you are busy with kids and jobs and all the things that come with adult life.
Yeah.
It's hard to catch up with your friends, but it's important to make time, even if it's only just a few times a year.
Yeah. And yesterday was definitely a day for reconnecting, because I got to meet up with some fraternity brothers that I hadn't seen in a long time for lunch. And then at dinner time, we went and met with an old high school classmate of mine who's a dear friend who I actually see her fairly regularly. We've been putting on an annual all classes reunion every year for the last few years, but I'd never met her husband in person, and he is just a wonderful guy, and we really enjoyed just spending time with them and their daughter. They
delightful teenage daughter.
Yes.
I mean, delightful is the best word for the young woman, and honestly, she's so poised. I had no idea she was 16.
Yeah, I know, right?
I thought she was about 20.
Yeah.
And no, she just. I was super excited for her. I being a late teen is such an exciting time of life.
Yeah.
Because the choices that you make, the places you'll go,
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. You kind of figure out who you are, and the world is your oyster. Not that life is going to be easy, but it's a time of great promise, and I'm just excited for her.
Some of your greatest life experiences happen between the age of 16 and 26. That decade. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you're going off to explore the world. You're in college. You're maybe meeting and falling in love with that person. I mean, there's just so many great things that happen in that time frame.
Yes. So I'm super excited for her. She's picking where she wants to go to a university and what she wants to study, and she's got some great plans ahead of her. And and this is kind of a shout out to all transitional aged youth, 16 to 26, there's just so many possibilities for you at this age. So Anyway, it was really nice to spend time with others. If you haven't made time to spend, just grab a cup of coffee with an old friend. Do it. Pick up the phone, make it happen. And I know everybody's busy, but when you get together, you're going to be like, oh, why haven't we done this sooner?
Right. And do it this weekend. I mean, don't put it off. As you're listening to the show this morning, think through in your head, who are those friends you really want to reconnect with, and then make that call today and get together with them this weekend.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So the Washington Post has an opinion piece. And this is from their editorial board that, it's pretty interesting. They say that the way out of the shutdown has been obvious for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And they make a point that I think that I agree with. The shutdown of roughly 25% of the federal government has continued into a sixth day as of yesterday. Today is number 7, with little or no evidence that President Trump and his Democratic opponents on Capitol Hill are moving any closer toward a deal that would break the impasse. Of the roughly 800,000 federal workers directly affected, about 350,000 sit home on furlough, while the rest deemed essential, that's quote unquote, continue working. None of them can get paid. It's the hardship for them and for the ordinary citizens who need access to agencies such as the IRS or the national parks may last into the new year, even past the start of the new Congress on January 3rd. This shutdown is perhaps even more senseless and frustrating than the previous ones because the way out is and has been perfectly obvious for weeks. Do you know what they suggest? Give them the wall. Let's make all the let's legalize all of the DACA kids.
Yeah, the dreamers.
All of the dreamers.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the point, yeah, let's do it.
And here's the thing, right? It's a deal that really, in a less polarized time, would be a fairly easy deal to make.
Yeah.
You know? But the reality is that both sides hate each other. Hate each other.
Yeah, hate is a strong word.
And if you made the deal, either side agrees to that deal, they're going to offend their own base because they hate the other side so much. So even though they might agree to the specifics of the deal, in principle, it's really not about the deal. It's about you can't give the other side a win, and we hate them, and they're terrible.
Okay, but do you know how infantile that is?
I know.
That just makes me so angry.
I know.
Because the reality is that this is hurting regular people. Do you know what happens at the beginning of a new year? It's a new tax year. People have to pay their taxes. Companies have questions about 1099s and W-2s and K-1s and other things. People need to be able to reach the IRS. You know, that's not a non-essential agency this time of year. And so, you know, you're pushing past the end of the tax year when people might be asking questions because you're being petty and stupid. And that's for both sides. Knock it off.
Yeah. And we've talked about the government workers and how this is impacting them as well. And I think there's an interesting dynamic. You know, essentially the current Congress is given up. So this is going to the new Congress, which will be under the control of the Democrats. And I think they've set it up that way because, again, they want to play the blame game, right? And so even though it started when the Republicans had full control of the government, right, when it ends, the Democrats will have control of the House. And you watch, it's all going to be about, you know, Nancy Pelosi this, Nancy Pelosi, and they're going to try to claim this is the Nancy Pelosi shutdown when it's clearly a thing that was brought on by Trump's hubris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time to be men. Let's put on your big boy and big girl panties and get this stuff taken care of.
Yeah.
This is the job you're hired to do. And I know that you're home with your families now. But I want you to think of the families who aren't getting paid. I want you to think of the families who have planned their vacations in the Grand Canyon and at Yosemite and at other national parks. Now they can't get in.
Aaron,
there's no gift shop. What?
The good news is, as soon as Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats take over, we will have 24/7 of those stories. Because you know that's what they're going to do. That's their spin.
Okay, but fine. But the reality is that people are on vacation now.
Yes.
I mean, how hard is it to do the job you were hired to do? Do your job. Fine.
But both sides are more interested in the spin than they are in actually solving the problem. Let's be honest.
I know.
So we'll get those sob stories. We will be, you know, overwhelmed with the sob stories because that's the Democratic narrative as they're pointing the finger at Trump.
Okay, but you're calling it sob stories. I mean, you're making it's not a sob story. It's what's actually happening.
Yeah.
You know?
They're real.
So people cobble their money together and think, well, I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon over Christmas. We're going to bring the whole family together. Oh, wait. Now we can't go because these people over here can't do their jobs.
Yeah.
Fine. Give the president his wall. Mr. President, let the dreamers have a path to citizenship. That's all they're asking for, right?
Yeah.
So that they could stay here. And why would you send them home anyway? Let's be honest. These are kids, and we're supporters of the DREAM Act. These are kids who were brought here when they were very, very young by their parents, many of whom did not know they were illegal until they tried to get a job or something else, and they realized they had no Social Security number. They went to American elementary schools, all the way through K through 12. Yeah. Then they went to American colleges or put on an American uniform, and now they just want to be Americans. Why wouldn't you let them?
Yeah.
If they committed crimes, they're not dreamers. We're talking about good kids. This is a no-brainer.
It really is.
Give Trump his wall. Let the dreamers stay. Voila, everybody gets to be happy. But no.
Erin's pulling out her magic wand, folks. You better watch it.
Oh, my gosh.
She's going to fix it.
But I just want grown adults to take care of business.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
You're hired to do a job. Do that job.
I wonder if there's a group within the Democratic Party that will stand up and say, make the deal. Because right now the Democratic Party seems to just really be controlled by the far left. And I don't think there'll be anybody on that side saying make the deal. There are Republicans saying make the deal. I'll give them that credit. The Republicans are saying make the deal. You know?
Make the deal. Make the deal. You know, I actually listened to a clip of a program on another station where there was a guy saying that Reagan wasn't good on immigration. He's a globalist, and tried to paint Ronald Reagan as a bad guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to the Republican Party where the standard bearer for the last century is now being painted in a bad light? Yes, he gave us amnesty. It was the Congress who didn't flip the other side and give increased border security. Yeah. That was the deal. He did his part. They didn't do theirs. That's not his fault.
Yeah. I wonder how our congressman would vote. Would he vote to make the deal? And if he did,
I don't know.
And if he did, would he then be, challenged on the left in the next election cycle?
He might be challenged on the left anyway.
Yeah.
As the Democratic Party in the state of California right now, if there's any contest, it's between the left and the far left.
Yeah.
So and when you say our congressman, we're talking about the Redlands area. This is Pete Aguilar.
Yeah.
And but even there's most of the congressmen from this area. Cook is a Republican. Calvert is a Republican. But most of the others are Democrats.
Yeah. But, it just makes you wonder. I mean, we live in an area that I think is generally in favor of both those things. Generally, I think you could find a majority that would say vote for the wall and a majority that would say vote for the Dreamers, But I wonder if they could still make that vote, because what would happen to the money? Who would challenge them? And I'm saying this for either side, Democrat or Republican,
So here's a thought. Instead of licking your finger and stick it in the air, why don't you vote to do what's right?
Yeah.
Because right now you're punishing the American people by doing nothing.
It's true.
Punishing it's not our fault. You're punishing the American people. So with that, it's 6:18. Let's take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
This is Joe Lyons. Riverside Municipal Airport would like to now welcome the dawn of a new year for us to look forward to.
As we enter this new year, we recall the words of Virgil, chief of the poets of ancient Rome. As the twig is bent, the tree inclines. Traits of character are instilled very early in the life of a child by what he is taught and by what he observes in the home. Nearly 1,000 years before Virgil, Solomon wrote, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it."
Riverside Municipal Airport welcomes a new year for America, the state of California, and the Inland Empire. Riverside's airport, itself a Civil Air Patrol site, works with 2 universities offering aviation degree programs, tower-controlled ILS, 6 flight schools, and an A&P school. Riverside Municipal Airport is proud to be an important part of the growing transportation demand of our area, and so wishes a heartfelt thank you as we enter this new year from Riverside Municipal Airport.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 55 years. Carpet Masters uses extraction cleaning for your carpet because there's no better cleaning to remove the soil from your carpet. All of our furniture cleaning is done by hand in your home or in our plant. Carpet Masters also offers dry cleaning for fine furniture. Call Carpet Masters at 793-7215. That's 793-7215 for Carpet Masters.
It's time to shop in the cool, relaxed comfort of the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, conveniently located on the I-10 freeway between the Alabama and Tennessee exits. Bring the kids too and watch them play in the only indoor fun center, High Five Indoor Playground, where parents are welcomed on the playground. Birthday celebrations are encouraged, so make plans for some great fun at the mall. More reasons why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
Hi, this is Todd from the Flip Flop Investor Show. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. where we talk about real estate investments here in the Inland Empire. Before you go to a real estate seminar, come check out our Real Estate Investment Club that meets at the Mission Inn in Riverside every fourth Wednesday. Find out more on our weekly show at 4 p.m. Thursdays right here on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Drivers, when it's time to visit the DMV, avoid the long lines and save time by calling toll-free 833-DMV-LINE. That's 833-DMV-5463. KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Darling, you got to let me know.
Welcome back. I'm Marion Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
We are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So really sad news from KTLA television here in Los Angeles. Their morning news reporter and weekend anchor, Chris Burrows, he died this week. He's 43 years old.
Yeah.
And he was found unresponsive at a Days Inn in Glendale after a male he was with called authorities at around 1:15 p.m. to report he had passed out and was possibly not breathing. And so they're looking into it as a possible overdose. Paramedics who responded to the hotel at 450 Pioneer Drive located Burrows inside of a room suffering from a medical emergency. The person he was with, who Suttles said appears to be a friend, quote unquote, was already administering aid when they arrived. Suttles said those on the scene recognized the news anchor right away because everybody knows Chris. The male stayed at the scene and quite honestly did a good job of trying to render aid. First responders also administered CPR before transporting Burrows to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. When the companion originally called police, he indicated Burrows had possibly overdosed. What we know at this point is that the call came in as a medical emergency, and that's how it was handled. There was no indication of suicide. Glendale detectives are currently investigating the case and are thoroughly examining the unfortunate circumstances surrounding his death. Burrows' body has been turned over to the coroner's officials who will work to determine a cause and manner of death. Toxicology reports had not yet been completed by Thursday night. So he has been with KTLA since 2011. As a reporter and an anchor, and he helped to expand the morning news to 7 days a week. After previously working at other news stations across the U.S., he leaves behind a wife and a daughter.
So sad. And, as often happens with these types of stories, a lot of folks locally have connections, right? And so I've seen stuff popping up on Facebook.
Yeah.
As people
who have known him and worked with him.
Yeah.
Or been part of stories with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's there's a ripple effect. Right, there's a ripple effect, and it just kind of breaks your heart when you see a story like this. And if it is an overdose, even if it's not suicide, you wonder, was he suffering from depression? Was he doing? We've talked about this as we've gone through the holiday season, right? I mean, this is the time of year when
he was in a hotel with a male companion.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess that it wasn't suicide.
Yeah. So, it's a tough time of year for a lot of folks. So. Interesting story, as I teach middle school, apparently people are trying to crowdfund the problem of student lunch debt. And this is fascinating to me. We have kids whose parents sometimes forget or don't have the money to pay for their student lunch. And so when the kids get up to the lunch line, the schools are supposed to still give them food anyway. But unfortunately, sometimes there's sort of this sort of shaming that goes on, lunch shaming, I guess they're calling it in this article, where the kid gets up to the front of the line and they're sort of lectured about the fact that there's no money in their account.
So it's been a while since we had kids who were that age, but I remember very clearly that we could add money online to an online account, but it didn't automatically come out. So we couldn't authorize ahead of time how much money was in there. And frankly, I'd forget.
Yeah.
It's not like I wasn't taking care of my child on purpose. It means I loaded a bunch of money in there for both of the kids. Like I would start the month with like $50,
Yeah.
and they would order lunch, and frankly, it's not something I checked every day.
Yeah.
Because it was working, and they were in sports, and they were doing other things, and I just there has to be a better way.
Well, the idea that folks are now crowdfunding this, right? Like that they're creating like a GoFundMe kind of a deal to cover the lunch money for these kids. I find that fascinating and a bit disturbing.
Well, I'm there are some parents who are genuinely neglectful, but I would venture to guess that most parents were like us, in that we would, like I said, we would load money on in the beginning of the month, and it would last a while, and sometimes the kids would have more than one meal. Like they get there early, like the bus would get there early, they could grab breakfast, and so it's the times that we think that the money's going to last and it to a certain date, and it doesn't. And so why don't you have like something that comes out automatically? You can do that. You can load money every month automatically, and I don't know, for our school district that our kids were in at the time, that wasn't a feature that was available.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. I mean, so in this story, they identify a bunch of different examples. So apparently in Wisconsin's Madison Metropolitan School District, 25 human resource workers fundraised, Aaron, and they raised $25,000 to wipe out students' overdue lunch bills. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I mean that seems excessive to me. And then in Minnesota, a Lions Club recently gave Excelsior Elementary School $2,000 to cover student lunch debt. And then in Michigan, an anonymous donor gave $7,200 to the Parchment School District to erase student lunch debt. And this is fascinating to me, and like I said, a little bit disturbing. Most of these student lunch programs, if they're run properly, run at a profit. They do. The districts have extra money, and they should be using that extra money to cover the kids who don't have money. I mean, that's how I view it.
Well, I guess the thought, though, is that if they don't have money, they're supposed to be on free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
And so they think that, well, it's the parent. I think the perception is that the parents who are kind of being deadbeats are not paying their students' bills, even though by the means test they should be able to. I think therein lies the trouble. And I know that at some schools, they'll give the kid a peanut butter jelly sandwich for a day or two.
Yeah.
But they'll tell the kid to tell their parents. Now, 8-year-olds are not necessarily the kind of people, the most responsible people on the planet.
Yeah.
Because they're 8. And so they may not tell mom and dad.
Well,
and a robocall may come home.
And also giving of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, when everyone else has got, let's say, pizza or whatever, it also...
There's a shame there.
There's a shame there because the other kids become aware, well, why do you have peanut butter and jelly? It creates an environment. And that's why I'm saying that, they really should just give them the same lunch and then work it out later. And apparently last year the U.S. Agricultural Department mandated that school districts now introduce policies to settle the student lunch debt so that and to do it in a way that doesn't involve this sort of stuff where the shaming of the kids.
Right, because the kids don't have any control over any of it.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is the school districts, aren't really in the collection business, right? And so oftentimes they'll outsource this to actual collections agencies. So imagine you're a parent and you get the call, and you know how collections agencies can be, right? And they can be quite rude. And, what if if you're $1 or $2 behind and you're getting calls from a collection agency?
I want my $2.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. And you and I have had the experience of once it's been sent to a collection agency, we've actually paid the bill, but they didn't notify the collection agency. So the collection agency is still calling, and we're like, we've already paid the bill. Well, you haven't paid us. They want to get the money because that's how they get.
Yeah, well, I don't owe you.
I know. So anyway,
and I thought that was a little harsh too. That was really harsh because collection agencies means that if you go something 30, 60, 90 days overdue, and then that's going to collections, typically if you have a credit account.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we've had to deal with, thank you God.
Yeah.
But for these student lunches, if it rolls to collections after, a couple of weeks, like, oh, hold up, somebody couldn't call me besides a collection agency for crying out loud?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Again,
Now,
tie it to your PayPal account.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I've been kind of tongue-in-cheek on a little bit on this issue, but let's be honest. This is a very serious issue. 6.5 million American children live in households that are food insecure, Aaron.
Yeah, but most of those kids will qualify for free and reduced price meals.
Yes. Yes.
So with that, it's already time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA. We will be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
The Snow Country Ski Report is being brought to you by Indeed. Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job opening in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in your short list of quality candidates using an online dashboard. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
Cold overnight temperatures mean snow crews have been busy laying down a fresh coat of snow. Mountain High is open till 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve with a torchlight parade at 6. All lifts are turning on West Resort and snow making full blast, adding another 8 inches of snow to your favorite runs. Snow Summit on close to 20 trails, day and night sessions, also a torchlight parade and a New Year's Eve party to follow. June Mountain skiing over 25 pack powder runs. China Peak is in the mix with variable to machine groomed conditions, close to 20 runs. Bear Valley on close to 50. Sugar Bowl over 90 pack powder trails, and if you're heading into the Rockies, Crested Butte picking up snow with more expected to fall throughout the day. More at snowcountry.com. I'm Jan Elliott on the Trifecta of Talk, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
It's time to take a look at our roadways. I'm Erin Brinker. The only thing that we have on the board right now is the chain advisory for our mountains. All motorists should carry chains or have four-wheel drive to travel to Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear region. Highway 18, 38, 173, and parts of 330 continue to expect icy and wet conditions as this cold spell continues. Also, it is going to be icy. It's cold down here in the valley, so up there, definitely change the way you drive. This has been your traffic report. Drive carefully, everyone. I'm Erin Brinker, and this is KCAA.
California Headline News. Authorities believe the man wanted in connection with the murder of Newman Police Corporal Ronil Singh is still somewhere in Stanislaus County. Sheriff Adam Christensen is promising to find the killer.
We have multiple teams out following up every lead, and we will relentlessly continue to hunt our suspect down and bring him to justice.
Corporal Singh was killed early Wednesday morning during a traffic stop. Sheriff Christensen revealed the suspect is in the country illegally. High winds caused havoc for residents of West Los Angeles. Thousands were left without power. The winds also knocked down trees in West Hollywood and the San Fernando Valley. A wind advisory remains in effect until 3 p.m. today. And a dog that had been missing for more than 3 years is back with her owners in the Los Angeles area. The dog named Shawnee was found on Christmas Eve and taken to a veterinary clinic.
She came running and limping, and immediately when I saw her, I saw my own dog's face, and I didn't have the heart to leave her there.
Steve Clausen, California News.
You're out for a jog, getting in the zone when...
Ew! Oh, it smells like rotten eggs.
Meanwhile, dirt is swirling in the air, and you hear a hissing noise.
Dude, it's a snake!
No, dude. A hissing sound, swirling dirt, or rotten egg odor can mean there's a natural gas leak. Natural gas lines can be buried anywhere. If you suspect a leak, leave immediately and call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Oh, thanks, deep-voiced narrator.
You're welcome, young person.
Can you call it a tradition if it's only a decade old?
It's this week's Geico Sports Now.
The first puck dropped on the Winter Classic in 2008, but it seems like the game has been around forever. Maybe because we all love the fact that it's hockey played outdoors, facing off two Original Six teams in Boston and Chicago, in a college football stadium known for the luck of the Irish, Notre Dame. So forget all the football and tune into pro hockey this New Year's Day.
Did you know you could save 15% in just 15 minutes on your auto insurance? Go right now to geico.com for all the details.
California Headline News. If you're heading up to the snowy mountains, you're urged to use caution. Steve Nelson with the Department of Transportation says you need to be prepared before you make the trip.
Always check conditions before you travel. Don't wait until you're in your car. Use the Caltrans Quick Map app. It's a free app. It's going to show chain controls. It's going to show road closures.
The app is connected to the CHP for incidents officers are handling on the roads. If you're heading to the mountains, it's important to have chains on your tires when dealing with snow. Steve Clausen, California News.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Wind advisory this morning with sunshine, a high of 56. Clear this evening, a low of 38. Sunshine on Saturday, a high of 60. Mostly clear Saturday night, low 40. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA, 102.3 FM, Riverside, 106.5 FM, Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
This is KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So Newsweek is reporting that that Trump impeachment is inescapable. And this is according to the Watergate journalist, a journalist who helped break the Watergate scandal that ended the presidency of Richard Nixon, has written that an impeachment process against Donald Trump is now seems inescapable. Elizabeth Drew wrote in an op-ed in the New York Times that the evidence was now swirling against Trump as he faces a tough 2019. She cites his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria, the resignation of Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, and the partial government shutdown as sounding alarms for many Republicans. And I think that the Republicans, the many Republicans who decided not to run for re-election for the House, was indicative of people seeing that this was coming even several months ago.
Yeah.
Or, a year ago.
It's funny when we were going through the election back in 2015, 2016, building up to the presidential election, I was of the opinion that no matter who won, whether it was Trump or Hillary, that this was inescapable, that we would have an impeachment at some point, right? Either one of them, because the way that both sides play the game right now, I just felt like that was where we were headed.
Well, and I think both of them are corrupt.
Yeah, but I will tell you, and this is just my gut right now, that I think the Democrats have made the calculation that an impeachment would actually benefit the Republicans, that it would play into the narrative that Trump has created, that they're just so blinded by rage that they can't govern. And
you don't think their base will demand it?
I think their base will demand it. I don't think Nancy Pelosi will give it to them. I think that they will hold off, that they will kill him with 1,000 cuts without impeachment to weaken him going into the 2020 election, and hopefully that they will put up somebody strong enough to take him down. I think that that's their best play, and I think that's what their pragmatic leadership is telling them. I think that they're going to be able to withstand the drumbeat for impeachment. But knowing Trump, he may goad them. He may goad them into it, because I think he knows that getting them to impeach him is an overplay of their hand, and that it will help him. It'll fire up his base.
Okay, so the House impeaches. If you're a Republican senator, do you convict?
No, because they don't care about facts anymore. They just care about whose team they're on. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're right.
Facts don't matter, right? You gotta play nice with your team, because that's where your money comes from. That's where your votes come from. And so they won't vote to impeach him. Even if the evidence was overwhelming, they wouldn't vote to impeach him.
Now, some of the things that are pinned on him are fair. He's earned them, but some of them are not fair. So, like the murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, I think that was completely unfair to pin on the president.
Yeah,
because Saudi Arabia has been totalitarian for a very long time,
and every president in my lifetime has supported them unequivocally,
because because of the dynamics in the Middle East.
Turned a blind eye because we needed the oil, we needed their support.
Right, we needed them to be a counterweight against Iran.
Yeah. And the way that game is played, look what happened to oil prices. Trump turned a blind eye, and they opened the spigots, and suddenly gas prices are cheap again.
Right, and we need the energy.
Right.
So, although we use a lot of our own oil now, we're not as dependent on foreign oil as we were at one time.
Yeah,
fracking has been a boon for us.
It has.
So, but the trade wars, the instability in the stock market, all of this can be pinned on him.
Yeah, they're going to spend the next 2 years just beating him up, right? Beating him up. But I don't think they'll actually get to impeachment because like I said, I don't think the Senate would vote to actually impeach. And so why would you go down that road?
So, do you think he resigns?
I don't think his ego lets him resign.
I don't think his ego lets him resign either. Yeah, I don't think he resigns.
I think the best case scenario for the Democrats is that he decides not to run in 2020, and because he's just frustrated with it all. But he won't sell it as frustration. He'll sell it as I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. and honestly, this is going to sound terrible. If they gave him the wall, they would give him that out, because then he could walk out the door saying, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
Okay. You know what? I think you're right.
And he probably wouldn't run in 2020.
So what Republican then would run? I mean, this is kind of fun to speculate. What Republican would run then?
Well, I think
a bunch of them.
Well, a bunch of them would run.
Pence would run.
Pence would definitely run.
Does Bush run? Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, all the cast of characters who ran before. I don't know that Huckabee runs. Maybe he does in defense of his daughter.
Yeah.
Do we get what is his name? Rand Paul. Who else runs?
Yeah. I don't know. It would be fascinating. It'd be fascinating and scary. I mean, I don't say scary. I'm so frustrated by politics, Aaron.
You are?
I am. I used to love this stuff, and these guys have taken all the fun out of it.
You feel like you have two gangs on opposing each other.
Yeah.
It's West Side Story. Can you hear the snapping?
Yeah, and I like things about both sides.
Yeah.
And and just saying that makes me somehow an anomaly. I wish there was a way to get the two sides to
You want to knock their heads together and make them get along?
Yes.
Although and I know that you're a big fan of Kasich, John Kasich.
Yeah.
I am not, because Ohio passed this heartbeat bill for that once a heartbeat is detected for an unborn baby, that you cannot abort that baby, and he has vetoed it. Now their House has overturned his veto.
No, the House did, but
that's what I said, the House.
Yeah.
So not that it's into law yet, but the House overturned the veto, meaning that most Ohioans want this to pass, but he won't. He won't do it. And here's the thing. If you are pro-life, which I am, and he's a Republican, so, I was kind of hope that he is, but apparently he has no problem with abortion. You know that immediately this is going to be challenged. And so the lawsuit will happen before the ink is dry. And the idea is to push it to the Supreme Court so that Roe can be taken down. That's really what we're talking about, because there's nobody. Planned Parenthood is not going to let this happen in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we want. We want this to be revisited in the Supreme Court.
So I believe that he voted against it. He vetoed it because he's very pragmatic, and he understands that if he was to run for president, his appeal is hold on. His appeal is as somebody who's got crossover appeal with Democrats. But if he allowed that, if he voted to say, let's sign that bill, the fetal heartbeat bill, that would shut him down with Democrats.
Okay, so the blood of the unborn is it that's a good price to pay for him to be president, or at least to run. Yeah, it's okay. It's a good trade-off. How many babies are killed? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So if you're pro-life, like I am, Planned Parenthood kills 325,000 babies a year.
Yeah.
In abortions. That's just Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
There have been over 60 million abortions since 1973. 60 million.
Yeah.
That is bigger than some countries. And those are all the children that have been killed. So, he will never, ever get my vote for anything now.
Yeah.
Because your explanation, I'm sure, is spot on.
Yeah.
But I see that, and he is saying that the opportunity cost there, it's a price he's willing to pay, as long as he gets to run for president.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, his public statements were that the cost of defending this bill would be exorbitant.
Hogwash.
And that it would be shot down by the Supreme Court, and it's not worth.
He doesn't know that.
Well, I'm just telling you what his explanation was.
Yeah, shame on him.
For why he voted it down, why he vetoed it.
Yeah, shame on him. Shame on him.
Yeah.
So, anyway, with that, it's time for another break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobit Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We will be right back.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
At Grand Jewelers Pawn & Loan, we'll provide the emotional support and professional expertise to evaluate and purchase your diamonds and gold. I'm David Abrams, owner of Grand Jewelers Pawn & Loan, and for over 57 years, we've been advising and guiding our clients about buying and selling karat gold jewelry, diamonds, coins, and high-grade watches. If you've been thinking about how to go about selling your pieces, now is your opportunity to liquidate those pieces and put your newfound cash to work for you. If you don't know whom to trust when it comes to liquidating your jewelry assets, turn to Grand Jewelers Pawn & Loan in Rancho Cucamonga. We're professionals in the jewelry industry with over 110 years of combined expertise and knowledge, and we will empower you with the knowledge, enabling you to make a smart decision about liquidating your jewelry. Grand Jewelers Pawn & Loan, located in the Signature Center, Rancho Cucamonga, and we're open till 6 p.m. Monday to Saturdays and 5 p.m. on Sundays. Check us out on Yelp and Google. We're a 5-star rated family business, and we'd love to get to know you. Grand Jewelers, located in the Signature Center, Rancho Cucamonga.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is home to some of the best bargain shopping in the region. Citywear, Style for Less, and Dollar Tree, to name just a few. Friendly shop owners and staff are waiting for you to stop in for the many specials and bargains they're excited to share. The Tri-City Shopping Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make it your home for all your shopping needs, and you'll know why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart.
Broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California, we are KCAA.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobit Brinker.
And we are enjoying Bobby McFerrin here on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So glad to have you with us this morning and every morning. We understand that you have many choices of who to listen to, and we're super excited that you spend your time with us. If you miss any of our episodes, you can find us on iHeart. You can find us at KCAAradio.com. And back to iHeart, if you search for On the Brink podcasts, KCAA, you'll see us, and you'll see a little coffee cup. That's our symbol, little coffee cup, because we are the morning show. And you can listen to all of our podcasts.
Yes.
So I'm working on our website finally, and so that hopefully will be up very soon. And that will be we will talk about that and launch that on our Facebook pages, et cetera, so that you can keep up with who we have as our guests, our regular guests, because we have some pretty phenomenal regular guests on this show.
We do.
Including Dr. Huber, who was on Wednesday, talking about everything under the sun.
Yes, and Dr. Huber was Thursday.
Oh, yesterday was Thursday.
Yes.
We're in that week where, time kind of stands still.
Yes.
And, yeah.
So speaking of time standing still, there was a story that popped up a few days ago. I don't think we've talked about it at all, though. Tom Hanks stopped in at the In-N-Out in Fontana.
That's awesome.
And it blew up my Facebook feed. Everyone who was there was taking pictures and sharing it. And today it finally hit the Sun newspaper, right? So all that stuff that's been happening online, it's like the newspaper finally got a hold of the story and actually went and talked to people. And, apparently he was just on his way home and was hungry and decided to pull off the freeway and went to the In-N-Out there in Fontana.
And he was super good-natured about the people wanting to have their picture taken with him,
Yeah,
et
so he
cetera.
took a ton of pictures with people. Apparently, when he left, he gave them a bunch of money to pay for the next 3 or 4 cars in line at the drive-thru.
Oh, that's so nice.
Just a very generous guy, and I just thought that's just so cool, right?
It is cool. Yeah, it is cool. Now, I mean, I have really mixed feelings. He was wonderful. He was really wonderful. Having said that, I just want to do a friendly reminder that actors and musicians and professional athletes, etc., they are all people.
Yes, they
and sometimes they want to eat dinner with their family in peace and not be bothered, or they want to walk down the sidewalk in peace and not be bothered. So just keep that in mind, that they are people, and even though they live their lives in the public eye, doesn't mean that they don't want some
privacy.
Yeah. So be respectful. It's okay to notice that somebody is sitting across, that Kobe Bryant is sitting in the same restaurant as you. It's not okay to go bug him and his wife.
Think of all the famous people, athletes, musicians, actors, whatever. Who is it that you would love to run into at a restaurant and get that moment with? Is there one specific person or group of people that you would love to
get a moment with?
Yeah, get a picture, say hi,
There are plenty that I would like to have a beer with.
Yeah.
So, I would love to sit down with Jon Stewart.
Okay.
And pick his brain. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I would love to sit down with, even Bill Maher or Ben Shapiro or Dennis Prager.
Yeah.
Or, as I'm picking radio broadcasters here too, it's and also professional athletes. But I would, the ones, I think it'd be fun to sit down and have a conversation with Shaq.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it would be fun,
He'd be a good one.
or Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Misty Copeland would be really cool.
Okay.
Really cool because, how she came up. She had started ballet at the Boys and Girls Club in Long Beach. And, that Long Beach there's a lot of similarities between that community and San Bernardino. And, I'd want to talk to her about her journey.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, I think, how about you?
I was thinking, as you mentioned Shaq, I was thinking maybe Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just there are some people out there that have just done some amazing things. I mentioned the other day that we bought these books for our African exchange students that are living with us. And one of them, the book that I got her, was a book about famous female athletes. And so she and I have been reading this book together, right, in the morning.
As a way of training her, improving her English.
Yeah, so she'll read a little bit to me, I'll read a little bit to her. And it's been fascinating to just kind of read about some of these women. Simone Biles, right?
Oh, totally.
The more I've heard about her.
She's a Powerball.
She is, and she's so young and she's already done so much. And she seems to have such a positive outlook on life. I like being around positive people, right? That would just be awesome. And so I was just thinking about some of the women we've read about. And you think about the ones that are starting to get up there in their age a little bit. And you're thinking, boy, I would love to talk to these people before they're gone.
Yeah.
The greats, Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be awesome. It would definitely be awesome. But here's a great who actually did leave this earth. But we do need to get a shout out to him. It's okay. He was 112 years old.
Oh, yeah?
So a family member says the nation's oldest World War II veteran, who is also believed to be the oldest living man in the U.S., has died in Texas. Richard Overton was 112. Shirley Overton, whose husband was Richard's cousin, says the Army veteran died. Did I say 114 before? It was 112. Says the Army veteran died Thursday evening in a rehab facility in Austin. He'd recently been hospitalized with pneumonia. He was in his 30s when he volunteered for the Army and was at Pearl Harbor just after the Japanese attack in 1941. He once said that the one secret to his long life was smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. Well, it worked for George Burns,
right?
which he was often found doing on the porch of his Austin home. In 2013, he was honored by former President Obama at a Veterans Day ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. So, thank you, Mr. Overton, for your service and your just the good things that you did in your life.
And I've seen pictures and videos of this gentleman before he passed, and he seemed like he was fairly active and healthy right up to the end.
Yes.
And
at 112, I think his body just said, we're done.
Yeah.
His organs.
I mean, because you think about living that long, the hard part would be is if you were constantly having health issues and not comfortable, or not able to be active and do things. And this guy, I think.
The hard part would be your family members dying first.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If you live to be 112, chances are your children are going to die before you do.
Yeah.
That would be the hard part.
Yeah.
That would be the hard part. But we're going to think about the positive. And, can you imagine all the things this man lived through?
Right.
So if he was born in 1906, right? Born in 1906, that means he lived through the First World War, the Spanish influenza, the Great Depression, the Roaring 20s and the Great Depression, then World War II, the boom that came in the 1950s, the Korean War, doesn't say whether he went to Korea, Korean War, then the craziness of the 60s and 70s, all of the things that he saw, the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement.
So I think about the changes in technology, because he was growing up in a time when, electricity and indoor plumbing was not particularly common, and then it became the norm. Cars were not particularly common at the beginning of his life, and then became the norm. Televisions, telephones, radio, all of that stuff. I mean, to watch the transition
Movies,
of the technology.
Computers. Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
And still no flying cars, Aaron.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how dangerous we would all be with flying cars? Running into each other in the air?
I'm just saying, if I live to be 112, I expect flying cars before I pass.
Okay.
You got 62 years, people, to get this done.
Well, I actually think that they exist.
Yes.
They're like convertible airplane thingies. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that there are prototypes out there. I just think it would be colossally stupid. We have a hard time running in 3D or in 2D. Just on the ground, let alone in the air.
I want my flying car. Give me my flying. You got 62 years, people. Get it going.
Yeah.
See how I've got myself.
Do you want to live to be 112?
I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If I'm still loving life, if I'm still doing stuff, if I'm healthy.
Yeah,
keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. Yeah, I don't know.
No expiration
date. It's
date.
kind of hard. I mean, you certainly, the question now isn't can life be prolonged, because we know that it can be, because we're living longer and longer. The question then becomes, at what point is the quality of life so poor that you just don't want to do the things that will prolong your life?
Exactly.
And so that's why.
If I'm smoking cigars and drinking whiskey every day, Aaron, I'm going to 112.
Like I said, it worked for George Burns.
Hey, my grandfather, who outlived all the other grandparents, was the hardest living of them all.
So with that, we're at the end of our show for this week. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll be back here on Monday. I'm Aaron Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. Have a great day.
Loving you isn't the right thing to do. And how can I ever change things that I feel if I